Hi, Derek.
Joseph, nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you, Derek. How are you?
Pretty good. Getting closer to Friday at least, so.
TGIF, right?
Oh yeah, every day's a Monday though. It feels like at this point.
Oh yeah, every day's a Monday in our world.
Oh yeah.
All right. So, I'll start off with a little bit about myself here,
Sure.
and we'll get with you, and then we will catch you up to speed on what's transpired. So, obviously, you know my name. I'm Joseph. I graduated from FGCU back in 2023 of December,
Sweet.
and I am now the interim database administrator for LISAR.
Awesome.
So, all right, I'll go ahead and let you have the floor.
Yeah, so just to introduce myself, I just got into this project as you know recently. I'm supporting the data conversion side of the Oracle project. So I've already completed the account setup. I confirmed that I can access everything, the remote desktop environment and stuff. So, um, yeah, just I look forward to kind of helping get started. I guess a little bit in my background. I'm based in San Pablo, California. I have around closing in on 15 years when it comes to experience in software engineering. Yeah, I've worked on a lot of different cloud-based platforms, backend systems. So yeah, I'm purely just kind of jumping in here, support the data migration effort. Particularly helping with kind of just refining the extracts, making sure everything is kind of aligned with Oracle's FBDI requirements. So yeah,
All right, so I have some good news for you. I think I caught up on my entire list of things to do
sweet.
when it comes to data conversion. So where I potentially see you helping is when Axel Alpha, our implementation partner, starts loading these files. Obviously, they're going to come back with, "Hey, this field should really be this field," or "Why are you giving us this field? This doesn't make sense. This isn't configured." All the weird nuances in between with data conversion.
Right.
Um, in terms of the architecture of it, given my lack of experience and the rush to, get it done, quote
Mm-hmm.
unquote, I defaulted to using views within the database, right?
Right.
So you lose that ability to create table constraints and referential integrity, so you kind of have to like rely on the data being clean,
Mm-hmm.
which this kind of does help spot those wonky data line objects and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
At the same token, it again, there's a trade-off, right?
Right.
Um, so in terms of naming conventions, I try to be organized, right? So anything that has the prefix of OFADC, that means that it is supporting a Oracle Fusion Apps data conversion object,
Right.
right? So you'll see the underscore N right here.
Yep.
So OFADC underscore N implies this is data that these are the validation reports that Axel Alpha is sending to us. What I'm doing with these is essentially setting certain flags within those respective data conversion objects. So I'm sure you're familiar with the import action, right?
Yep.
So I'm using the validation report to determine, okay, was this record a success or was it a failure? If it's a failure, it needs to be reinserted. That's kind of the gist for that. Um, The customer master is somewhat different from the traditional objects because of its complexity. On top of that, we restructured all of our customers to follow the same suite, right?
Right.
So if we go here into the overarching view that builds out, quote unquote, the customer master, you'll see we're just using these four tables joining on the appropriate um, information.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's pretty much the customer master. I felt the need to explain why it's different. Same thing with the CMK. Have you worked with CMK before?
Worked with that. Yep.
Okay, so then you understand some of the referential integrities around that space as well,
Mm-hmm.
especially with the one-to-manys on multiple different tables.
Right.
Um, one other thing that I want to point out is this table right here, item mass UOM map.
Okay.
We are also trying to clean up our units of measure, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the item number, and that's the source unit of measure,
Right.
right? In our current system, this is the unit of measure it should really be. So you'll see a perfect example here where for this item number and this unit of measure combination,
Hmm.
it really should be a case, like CA, not a CS.
Okay. Yeah.
And this table is joined on all the objects that are hitting the unit of measure and appropriately setting the correct target unit of measure.
Right.
This cleans up about 12,000 units of measure in our source system.
Right.
Um, let's see. These two are login tables. Now this one is the creme de la crop, the chart of accounts. I'm sure you definitely dealt with this
Oh yeah.
before,
Yeah.
right?
100%. It's familiar.
So all tables or all views that are hitting the financials reference this one table here.
Okay.
The finance department prepares the mapping, right? And they send it over to us, and we load it into the system
Hmm.
or into our environment, and we clean it up a little bit, then we run our analysis of, okay, are there any AR lines that don't have a accounting distribution? Are there any AP lines that don't have an accounting distribution?
Right.
Are there any purchase orders that don't, so on and so forth. Especially with the GL as well. We look at the GL journal and the GL balances to verify that information of is there any issues. So we got that out of the way. So obviously the views, I again trying to be organized here. Direct PO invoices, this is all your AP stuff.
Right.
Inventory balances, manufacturer master. This one I had to do a weird little thing here. So we have in our source system called ManuCode, which
Yeah.
is 3 or 4 letters that represent the manufacturer. And Oracle, they don't necessarily have that. So we had to append and then we had to reverse engineer it to get the appropriate mapping,
Right.
right? Because Oracle uses the registry ID, which is generated from their system. So we had to do some weird stuff around that space. Obviously, you have your item master, the biggest one of them all.
Yeah.
I'm doing a little prayer as I scroll past that one. OpenAR was another complex one where in our source system, we had different subsidiary ledgers that we had to extract certain amounts of information from.
Hmm.
Um, Another thing for the naming convention, these underscores FBDI,
Yep.
those are the ones that are being used for the export process.
Okay.
Um, and then this one I did a little backwards, so forgive me on that. But a lot of these views are also union alls. So like it's selecting from this one, right? Okay, this is the JD distribution FBDI. Union all, which is, joining on itself. Um, for this next table and then this next table to try to keep it somewhat organized to where somebody says, "Hey, I noticed for your sales, we noticed XYZ." So you just directly come over here and edit it versus having to go through a PL SQL blocks to,
Right.
break it apart. So you got your open POs, same thing, open sales. Price lists were a little difficult. So this one, price list is our, it's called the base, right? So
Right.
this is the basis for our price list of, okay, is it stocked? Is it a warehouse 5 item?
Mm.
What's the cost? What's the rebate? So it's like a bunch of different rules that go into play when we're building out the price list. So essentially, if you look at the charges, you will see that first of all, we have certain individual price lists, right? So we have markup, daily, monthly, no markup, for profit, not for profit, special, rebates, no markup, rebates, markup.
Mm.
7 price lists, right?
Right.
Um, and then you have the base, and then you have your charges, which uses your items, your price list items, and we'll get to that in a second. Joining on the base, again, with your item number, pricing unit measure. Now this one, again, with the union alls,
Hmm.
you got your markup, markup items, you got your rebate items, and you've got your special pricing items.
Right.
So Did Kyle mention to you our member pricing or how our members operate?
I a little bit, but you'll probably have to explain it more to me. He kind of just touched on the marketing aspect of it, or just the business
All
aspect of
right.
that. But yeah.
So we have two members that drive 99% of our business, our operations. We have Lee Health and then we have Sarasota. Those are the two largest hospital systems in Southwest Florida,
Okay.
and we are their primary vendor. So Sarasota, they don't have markups. They get invoiced at the end of the month by our finance department.
Okay.
Lee Health does have markups every day. So their pricing is updated every day. Sarasota's pricing is updated every month.
Every month.
So
Okay.
that right there represents four different price lists.
Right.
And then for all customers is if the item is a warehouse 5 item, there's no markup for it.
Hmm.
If there is a rebate for the item, then it's a different price. That rebate price determines if it's a member that has markup or a member that doesn't have markup.
Right.
So I built again, this is all handled through this one view of figuring out, okay, is it stocked? Is it non-stock? Is it um, markup, no markup? Bunch of fun stuff.
Right.
And again, broke it out into separate different views so such that if somebody says, "Hey, I noticed that the rebates are having some issues here," you can just go to the rebates conversion and figure out what really is going on.
Okay.
That's that. Shipment history. This one was relatively straightforward. 8 million rows. Don't worry about it. It's 100% load. It's good.
Okay.
Um, Sourcing rules. I'm sure you dabbled in sourcing rules,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yep. Familiar with that.
Okay. Um, you got your supplier master, so you got your supplier master, the addresses, the sites, the site assignments. Um, so I did do something different with WMS because it's really, again, I think WMS was the most simple one to integrate or
Right.
convert data for. So anything WMS related is underscore WMS underscore. So you have your carriers, your container types, your inbound shipments, your inbound serials. WMS has its own item master, which let's not get into that. Um, Location master, your LPN locators, ship via codes,
Hmm.
the usual stuff for any WMS
Yeah.
software. And then you have our work definitions, which was another beast. Still changing.
Right.
All right, so that is the majority of the data objects that we've been working on up to date from the first day we started on this project to now.
To now. Okay.
Um, so, and I think we have all the data objects that we need.
Yeah.
We're at the part of, like I said earlier, making these few changes here and there, right?
Right.
A couple of things to make note of. Um, let's first start on the customer master. So, as you can see, it's called underscore rework.
Right.
Don't ask me how many times I had to redo the customer master. But anyways, this is the biggest thing I need to make mention of right now.
Okay.
Basically, don't change this, period, ever.
Never touch it. Okay. Yeah, I
Never
can see
touch
there's
this. So
a
right
lot,
now,
do not touch, do not change, do not change. Got it.
yeah, this is a reminder for me and anyone else who wants to deal with God.
Yeah.
Um, so what this means is this, is that because the customer master is extremely finicky in the Oracle environment and it does not have the import action, once it is loaded, you can't change it. You can't change the structure. You can't do all kinds of things, which is really constraining.
Right.
So if it's set to 1, that means that Axel Alpha had taken the customer master and loaded it into the environment, and you cannot change anything about it.
Hmm.
You can change the code to, if you're updating the base tables, you can change the code to update, insert the appropriate information at time of run. But right now you can see it's in a frozen state, and if you were to try to run it, you would see this error message pop up. Currently in a frozen state, cannot continue. Please reference this document. And this is a SOP I written basically saying, hey, if you're reading this, this is why you shouldn't change it. Um, what you can do is you can rerun. Um, why is that there? Okay, so attributes you can update, surprisingly.
Okay.
But everything else you can't. So it's kind of like, okay, we're erasing all the attributes, and then we are going to rebuild the customer or update the customer master, not rebuild it.
Right.
Rebuilding is where you're deleting everything from it.
Okay.
And this is where you get those weird finicky numbers like, hey, this site name truly belongs to this site number, but in Oracle it's different.
Right.
Again, to stop that, I did this little freeze, do not touch,
Do not
whatever.
touch. Right. Makes sense.
Which, by the way, 1,677 lines. Um, that's that one. The CMK build, you can run this however many times you want. I'm essentially, um, let's see, for this one, what am I doing here? Okay, so this one I'm normalizing a report we got, normalizing it through a procedure, which is updating it. So obviously I'm executing in a truncate table
Okay.
for that one. For this one, I'm doing a merge operation. It was easier to do that. Now this one, so I'm not sure when you did your CMK back when, but you have your vendor dropships accounts, and then you have your customer dropship accounts,
Yep.
right? So so Axel Alpha requested that the vendors and the customers be split out into two. Given that the same constraints apply to all accounts, to the same table essentially, I'm creating a process to insert everything into that one table. It's at the export process where I separate it out.
Okay.
I found that that tends to be easier, so that's such that you're not creating new tables that represent the same data. You're not creating 500 different views that represent a where statement, right?
Yeah.
And then
That's a
the
good idea. I
last
mean, that's basically they'll simplify things a lot more because it's like just avoids the complexity of managing multiple views. So yeah, that's a good idea. That keeps it much more cleaner.
Thank you. Um, the last thing is this one. This is the one that builds out the unit of measure mapping. So obviously we are basically trying to determine what is the proper unit of measure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, this one was a migraine to do too. This one took a whole freaking day.
Ugh.
But you'll see that I'm doing a let's see, I'm executing immediate truncate all tables. Um, there's a logging table in there, which I think is this one.
Hmm.
No, this is the mapping table. And then this is the actual unit of measure table. So the mapping table is used for referential integrity.
Right.
This table is used for the data conversion. And then this table is for the logging to figure out, okay, where is it failing for these unique constraints?
Right.
Um, these two you don't have to worry about. Functions, these are being used to like get certain information. Okay, I have to share this funny story. So I'm not sure if you dealt with the packaging string, but in Oracle they want it one way and then they want the reverse of it, right?
Yep.
So this function here again, we see that table again.
Yep.
This function here will build out the Oracle required packaging string,
Hmm.
and they wanted it backwards. So me being the idiot I am, I literally took the this package name and reversed it.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, this one's kind of again using a bunch of weird fun stuff in between.
Right.
Builds out the packaging string list that whatever they need. All these get functions are used throughout AP, AR, POs, orders. So if you make any changes to these guys, just be mindful that you may be impacting those other data
Data
objects.
objects. Yeah. Okay.
Um, that is pretty much it. The last thing I need to go over is the export process.
Yeah.
So every day at 2 a.m., we send all data objects to the SFTP site for OIC.
Okay.
That is where Axel Alpha will go to grab the data as needed. Um, the driving procedure is this one here, is this package, and it's executing all of these export statements.
Right.
So each package is exporting the respective CSV files required for the FBDI template.
Right.
Make sense?
Makes sense.
So pick one. Which one do you want to go look at?
Anyone? Let's do the one that you're going over right now.
The customer master. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So if you go into the customer master, you'll see there is three procedures, right?
Yep.
So this one is exporting the view I showed you earlier.
Hmm.
This one is exporting the warehouse assignments. And then this procedure right here is exporting those two. So
Okay.
that's kind of how I have it broken out is that you have the main function that runs everything, that runs all the export procedures, and then within these export procedures, it's exporting all of the procedures within its package.
Right.
Again, one of those things that was just, it was easier to do in the moment with time crunching and all that fun stuff.
Hmm.
And no, I did not type all this out. What I did was create a procedure to generate export procedures. So you provide the view name or table name,
Yep.
the file name that you want, and the procedure name that you want to call it.
Gotcha.
Provide that information, log into the DBMS output, run it, boom, you got your export procedure done.
I see. That's smart. Okay.
And you'll see it throughout all of them.
Right.
The same format, same everything. All right, any questions for me? That was a lot to cover.
No, actually, I mean, honestly, that's great. It seems clear, honestly, for me. Um, what are the exact specific modules that we'll be focusing on at least, just to know again?
So you have the financial module,
Yep.
you have supply chain,
Yep.
and ERP.
And ERP. Oh, that's the one I forgot. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
wondering which one else it was. Cool. Yeah. Okay.
So this is your user information. I'm going to send it over to you.
Awesome.
We'll put it over here in the chat. Of course, I always recommend you to change your password.
100%.
Um, so I am one of those people that I want to build trust over time, so I'm not going to give you direct access to this OFA user.
Oh yeah, yeah.
However, you can view the user. And what my process is, you look at the user, you look at the data object definition,
Hmm.
you make those appropriate changes, and then you send it over to me, and I'll review it
Yeah.
just to make sure that what you changed doesn't impact anything
Impact
upstream
anything
or
else.
downstream.
Right. That makes sense. Oh yeah, 100%. That's the way it should be anyway. So yeah. Awesome.
Perfect. All right. Any other questions for me?
Honestly, I'm all good. Yeah, that was really clear. So I don't have any questions. But I'll as I kind of dig into it, normally I'll probably have a question after that once I kind of start examining it myself. But so far, what you explained to me looks good. So.
Oh, and one other thing. We have three materialized views because of
Oh,
how
nice.
huge or how
That's good.
complex things can get.
Yeah, that's good.
So so we've got the item master.
Hmm.
So the reason why these are not just views, but they're materialized views is, again, you get the benefit of ability to quickly go in and change something while also having the ability to create indexes on these materialized views. So before I created a materialized view, it was taking an hour to export 5 objects that were hitting the item master.
Hmm.
I created this view, added a couple indexes, and it took 15 minutes for everything else to export. Um, Same thing with the OpenAR. There's just a lot of data that needs to be crunched, and it was easier to have it on disk and have it refresh at the time of export. And
Right.
same thing with inventory balances. Now, inventory balances are weird. You have to go into the inventory balance views, remove any reference there is to this one view,
Hmm.
recompile those, make your changes here, recompile it here, and then add back in that table into those respective views. Um, that was before there was the union all. Now it's just one view. So I think you should be able to just update this one view and you should be good. Knock on wood.
So basically, just
But
update the. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Cool.
awesome. Yep, I just need to cover, I forgot about that part. But yeah, I think that's covers pretty much everything.
Do we have
Yep.
access, or do I have access to those procs?
To the what?
Like this one that you just covered?
Yeah, so as your user, if you're logging on with how do you say your last name?
Oh, Viam.
Vyong. All
Yeah.
right. So if you log in as dvyong and you click other users, and then you find the OFA, which you're not going to see here because I'm under it, but for example, OFA Dev 2, you can click down into it and you can see all the views and everything.
Okay.
So you have access to view, you have access to copy and paste, all that fun stuff in between. If you need, you can just copy and paste the DDL for some of these base tables into your own scheme and compile it. One thing I do need to do is this. Let me see. Um, did I store it here? Give me 1 second.
Sure.
Let me log into your user real quick
Sure.
and run this script. Uh, then it was that RC elite data test underscore elite underscore dvong test save. Copy all this again. Connect. And then X test M test W test D. So what I just did is I'm creating all of these synonyms you need from the elite schemas,
Okay.
such that you can just select from the table instead of pasting the schema name for easy
Okay.
portability between the users.
Awesome.
But once that's done, you should be able to start querying the database and have at it. So what I would recommend you do for today
Hmm.
is just go through all the views and figure out, how we're doing things and how we're using the base tables and whatnot.
Okay. Okay, I can do that for sure.
All right, you
Awesome.
should be good to go.
Sweet. Yeah, all good. So yeah, definitely. Thanks for explaining that. Everything's all clear so far. So yeah, I'll let you know if anything, if I come across. But looking forward to it. Looks good.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, Joseph. Thanks for the explanation.
Of course, you have a good day.
You as well. Bye bye.
Bye.